Would you look at that, guys? We've got an update here on the 2024 election, and now we've got DeSantis super PAC coming out and admitting that yes, they are going after Vivek. They want to get Ramaswamy. They view him as the possible number one threat behind Trump. And you can see the top strategist for DeSantis super PAC privately told donors that Ramaswamy posed a threat to the Florida governor and bragged that the super PAC was behind an avalanche of opposition research targeting the rival candidate. Quote, everything you read about him is from us. That's according to the leader of the one of the bigger Ron DeSantis super PACs. Every 360 or 180 that he is going through in life is from our pressure. So they seem to be obsessed with Ramaswamy right now, and they're bragging about it behind closed doors. Now, let me talk about what's going on right now in the Republican Party. You can take a look at this. This is just the national average. You know, the article that I was reading that I just talked about, it later references that DeSantis and his team believe, and one of the arguments they're making to the Republican base is that he's got a better chance to beat Trump. And honestly, I thought that was a very sound argument. It seemed completely reasonable about 2 or 3 months ago. The issue for DeSantis, when you look at the general election matchups right now, Trump is polling very well against Biden. That's just popular vote. You know, Biden plus 0.7. If that happened in real life, Trump would win, you know, with the Electoral College. You can see Biden versus DeSantis. Biden about plus 5 points. So Trump is performing right now about 4 points better than DeSantis is versus Biden. And you might be wondering, you know, how is that possible? It really doesn't make sense considering DeSantis' approval rating is only minus 11. Trump's about minus 17. I would say it's a number of different things. Number one, there's a lot of people that aren't sold on DeSantis but will vote for Trump. And number two, there are a lot of Trump people that right now don't like DeSantis. And I'm guessing when they're being polled or asked these questions, they'll say, yes, I would vote for Trump against Biden, but I don't know about DeSantis. The whole argument for DeSantis was that he had such a great approval rating. He won Florida, which is a purple state, even as an incumbent, which you should win as an incumbent, but he won it by 20 points. That would be one of his big one-ups. He doesn't even have that. And now you see the rise of Vivek Ramaswamy with Trump not at the debates, basically posturing as kind of the MAGA candidate, and I think Vivek is very, very smart and super impressive, but even you've seen Vivek over the past few days struggling a little bit there in the bright blue. This is the betting average, which I think right now is probably the best thing in terms of gauging who the actual candidate is going to be, not necessarily the general election polls or anything like that. This kind of takes into account everything. It is the full nuance, and just like I said a few days ago, the new establishment candidate, Nikki Haley, is currently trending at 6%. You can see her in the red. She has overtaken Tim Scott. It was really her versus Tim Scott versus DeSantis. Who was going to be the establishment candidate? Originally, it was DeSantis. There's still definitely a lot of super PACs behind him. But now it looks like Nikki Haley is the clear new establishment charm, and I'm guessing she's going to have a big debate coming up later this month. Ramaswamy will be there, DeSantis will be there, but right now it's really those three, and then Trump's just so far ahead. And you wonder, you say, why wouldn't DeSantis just drop out and try and prepare for 2028? It's not happening this year, just move on. With Ramaswamy, you can kind of understand him staying in this race, whatever, you know, he's a young guy, maybe he can be the VP for Trump, maybe he can be part of his administration. Nikki Haley, kind of the establishment candidate, but why is DeSantis doing this and staying in? Well, DeSantis right now is trying to position himself as the 1A option if something happens to Trump. And really, we can only speculate on Trump whether or not anything crazy happens to where he gets disqualified from running. And that creates its own set of problems because remember, Trump did not sign. When you agree to do a Republican debate, you have to sign whoever is the Republican nominee. I will back them and I will not run as an independent against them. Trump hasn't done that. Everyone keeps saying the reason Trump is not debating is because he's up by 40 points. I think, yeah, that's part of it. But the other reason, and by the way, even after this debate, there was all the media talking about Trump like losing ground. It's just all fake. Like, look at the betting average. It's actually gone slightly up since the debate. And by the way, I don't even think Trump's interview with Tucker Carlson was good. It was a nothing burger, but it did distract and it did do its job in terms of that. But just looking at this overall, I would say right now, if anything happens to Trump, it immediately becomes DeSantis, Vivek, Nikki Haley. That's it. Maybe Glenn Youngkin, although I believe Glenn Youngkin has come out and said he doesn't want to run in 2024, which I think at this point is certainly smart. Maybe if something crazy happens to Trump, he'll maybe get back into it. It's kind of remarkable. He's at 3% chance there. But that is just kind of and then there you can see, this is just a zoom in picture on it. You can see Nikki Haley in the red moving up a little bit, DeSantis and Vivek going back and forth in terms of that. But that is the recent update on the election. Once again, Vivek and DeSantis going at it. DeSantis, his campaign coming out and admitting he's the number one target. And honestly, it might have to be Nikki Haley here soon. We'll have to see. I really do like Vivek. I do, it's just going to be very hard for Vivek to win the Republican nominee when you don't want to say he's parroting the same talking points as Trump is, because he's more nuanced and he has different opinions, but Trump just commands so much of the base that Vivek taking enough off of Trump and then also off of an establishment candidate, it seems rather unlikely. The question is, how does the establishment want to set this up in terms of their strategy? Because we saw the Democrats completely rig the 2020 Democratic primary when they forced everyone to drop out and endorse Biden after he got 4% in Iowa and New Hampshire. But overall, that is just the update when it comes to the Republican primary. I would still certainly expect it to be Trump unless something happens. And honestly, you have to start wondering, the Democrats are not giving this up. They're pushing Trump, and now he's got to appear the day before Super Tuesday. It's just, it is crazy election interference, and they're admitting, yes, it's election interference. We're doing this on purpose. We hate the guy. That's what they're going to do. So we will see what happens there. But who is number two right now in the Republican field? I would say it is still slightly DeSantis. And then you have Ramaswamy, Nikki Haley, and then the rest are pretty much irrelevant outside of Glenn Youngkin, but I don't think he's going to run. Either way, guys, that is going to do it for this video. Make sure you're following me on X. Link to that's always in the description.